play fake. Perez in the end zone, open and touchdown. As Magoo was giving himself up, he got hit. He holds on to it, going deep down the sideline. Hand checking and one-handed catch for the touchdown. Perez forced out of the pocket towards the end zone. Caught. Yes, touchdown, Bowman. He's towards the middle of the field. 28 yards on the pickup. Marable fighting. Touchdown, Birmingham. Out, he can step in and call the play. Here's Johnson on a running play. Gets around the end, gets a block, and dives for the touchdown. Empties the backfield. Jamar Smith fires that one right down the middle of the field. Kerry Angeline takes it all the way in. Smith rolling right. Gets it back, dives, and scores.
The back next to him. Take it. Scarlett was going out there with Patterson. Patterson fell down, stands back up, lost the football. Football's out. And they're running with it down the sideline. It's Northrup. Just as we said, down the sideline. Can he get there? And into the end zone. Takes it about 95 yards to the house.
Whoa, hey, see you.
Play action. Pressure in his face again, gets a throw into the air, caught for the touchdown. Second and goal here. Panthers need points badly. Lenore breaks free. Lenore has a run of room out there. Dives for the catch, touchdown.
Yes, sir.
Lance Lenore.
Go.
Cross in motion, fake it to him, give it to Scott fighting for the goal line.
We're just looking for the ball to break the plane here.
Intercepted at the 35. This has a chance to be 6. New Orleans defense puts the first points on the board. Vontae Diggs. Body. Plus 22. First and 10. Scott goes back the other way. Wide open at the 5 and easily into the end zone goes Bug Howard. First and 10 on the 12. Logan around the left side. Cuts it back. 5. Touchdown Breakers. 4th down and 1 here from the 3. Jordan Ellis cuts it back and finds the end zone.
Evans falling forward into the end zone. Touchdown.
Let's go. 180. What's up?
Into the end zone. Caught. Easy touchdown. Jordan Lasley.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to the 7th edition of the USFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of USFL News Hub. You just saw that the beginning of the show, if you're listening on the podcast, you had the wave and the big crowd rocking at the first game of the USFL season, and then the next one you had every single touchdown of Week 1 in the USFL. So yes, Week 1 is finally here. It is over. We're going to recap the whole thing. We'll talk about Week 2 picks, the whole pizza drama, also kind of ratings and attendance, and so much more. So if you like football and you like the USFL, subscribe to this channel right now and smash that like button. Let's get this show to 50 likes. Spread the word about the USFL to fans. Fans are now in that I'm interested. I might check it out for a week or two kind of thing. Let's show them that this is the spot to be. And then you could be part of our little growing family of USFL fans. Or if you want to be part of the show, email podcast at USFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video and leave it on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. 888-430-7692 extension 3 to leave us a voicemail. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate that. You can find us everywhere: Stitcher, Audible Player, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts. But leave us a review. Really help us out. Again, spread the word about the USFL. Leave us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you can watch the show live every Monday at 9 p.m., except for this past Monday. Why? Because we had a game on. Why would I do a podcast when I can go USFL podcast when there's a USFL game that everybody's watching? So we're on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as well. So again, welcome to the program. First up, let's take a look at the final scores of this week. The New Jersey Generals lost to the Birmingham Stallions 24-28. We'll get into my picks and how I did in a little bit. The Stars, I thought the Philadelphia Stars were going to be the team to beat, but no, the Breakers are looking like they're the team to beat. 23-17 over the Stars. The Gamblers, 17-12 over the Panthers. A lot of people thought the Panthers would be better and the Gamblers wouldn't. And the Bandits, my Tampa Bay Bandits, 17-3 over the Maulers, who were with 3 wide receivers and not a lot of pizza going on there. And that thing is just going to stick. We'll get into all of that stuff later on in the show. But first, what we're going to do is we went through the scores. We'll go through the news. We'll have my picks. We'll play a commercial. Then we'll get to you on the social media stuff, all of our social media stuff, or you in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Leave us a message in the chat. The question of the week is, what do you think? Your reaction to week 1 in the USFL. We want to hear your reaction. What do you think? It's been kind of mixed in some spots. It's really hard to gauge right now. We're just kind of in this vortex of middle road here. Something that Daryl Moose Johnson had said on last night's broadcast was that they're just focused. Just all they can do is focus on getting a little better every day. That goes with the players, that goes with the organization, everything. And that is a great life lesson for everyone out there. With anything you do, just try to get a little better every day, including our News Hub Fantasy. We had our first week of fantasy football. Yep, forgot to put in fumbles in the data calculations, and some of the player data kind of got a little messed up. It's only week 1, alpha stage, but the nice thing about that, and we'll get into it in a little bit, is this application is essentially built. And now it's just tweaking and improving and fixing the draft, tweaking the draft and fixing all those things. So you get all the chit chatter here for about News Hub Fantasy with your boy Mark. And again, this is alpha version, and I'm just excited just to have. I was basically building it for myself and some other people to use, and I was like, well, let's just open it up and just to help get the kinks out, so we'll be ready to rock and roll for the CFL season, and then XFL season, and then USFL season after that, and just be able to keep going and going. And it will be a lot of fun. All right, friends, we'll get into the news of this week in the USFL, and then we got so much more. Oh, but one other thing I wanted to show you, based on the standings right now in the USFL, you got basically the whole North Division is in the loss, and the whole South Division got wins. We have every stat you need. We have stats, standings, scores, the whole deal on USFL News Hub. We actually have stats like league leaders, something that the actual USFL site, the last time I checked, did not have, like league leaders or who's leading the league in rushing, all that kind of stuff. We have those stats on USFL News Hub if you want to check those fun things out. All right, my friends? All right, so without further ado, let's just get into the week that was the USFL. First up, we have the week 1 power rankings by our own Matt Lyons. This has definitely changed a lot because once they hit the field, that was just a guessing game. And now we're actually on the field of play after week 1. Here is his power rankings, and let's see how he did compared to his predictions, at least for the preseason, versus how things spun out now. So number 1, yes, my Tampa Bay Bandits. He also had them at number 1 as the number 1 team in the USFL. They just look strong. Todd Haley looks like he could be the best coach in the league. I think his time coaching high school football has kind of mellowed him out. Now he's ready to rock and roll, and his team looked good in the first game. They have the talent. They got one of the top quarterbacks in the league in Jordan Ta'amu. So the Tampa Bay Bandits are at number 1. Number 2, I agree with this too. The New Orleans Breakers, they had a good defense. Breakers came out with a win against Philadelphia Stars. They were last week at 3. The highlight was the team defensive end, Davin Bellamy, definitely a star in the making in this league. Bellamy recorded 3 sacks in the first quarter and supplied pressure on Brian Scott all day long. Breakers running backs Jordan Ellis and TJ Logan were also bright spots on the team Ellis rushed 18 times for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Logan, 15 carries, 56 yards and a touchdown, and got some catches too. So these are the two teams. And guess what, my friends? They are playing each other this week. So that is definitely the game of the week. Number 3, up from 4. They did get the loss, Philadelphia Stars. It looks like they had the talent. They just faced a good New Orleans Breakers team. I mean, they got Brian Scott at quarterback. They have running backs. They have good wide receivers. They just played a good team in New Orleans this week. We will see if they can bounce back in week 2. Birmingham Stallions, they looked a lot better than I thought they would. They definitely, with Jamar Smith coming in the game, Smith would be filling in for the injured Alex McGough, who suffered a leg injury early in the game. Smith scored the game's winning touchdown on a quarterback run. Osiris Mitchell looked great, 5 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. Victor Bolden Jr. followed in 4 catches for 45 yards. So Birmingham Stallions look pretty good, and they move up to number 4. They were at number 6. New Jersey Generals, they were at 5, staying at 5. Quarterback Luis Perez got off to a nice start, but then head coach Mike Riley would use the whole 2-quarterback system. DeAndre Johnson getting a handful of packages and having the opportunity to close out the game. In fantasy stuff, we don't like that, but Perez was 13 of 18, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Johnson only completed 3 of 8 for 59, but 12 carries for 98 yards and a rushing touchdown. So they might be using the 2-quarterback system, but the Generals have a decent offense at number 5. Houston Gamblers were at 8. They moved up to 6. They got the win after the dominant win over the Panthers, but their offense struggled at times by the hand of quarterback Clayton Thorsten. I heard people talking about him, that he is not that good, maybe, perhaps, so they could struggle more, but definitely not putting my faith in the Houston Gamblers right now. They did win the game, but I'm not really sure. Michigan Panthers, he had them at 7 and stayed at number 7. What they had wasn't going good. I thought they would definitely win. Shea Patterson got the start, but struggled heavily. And then when Paxton Lynch replaced him for a brief period, Lynch actually managed to play even worse than Patterson. After going 17-0 in the first half of an extremely embarrassing fashion, the Panthers started to claw their way back into things after halftime, started to get things going around. And then, of course, number 8, all the way from number 2, is the Pittsburgh Maulers. After the whole Devon Smith pizza thing, they had 2 great running backs in Garrett Greshnick and Mondre London, but you have no passing game. They literally were just running the ball. They had 3 wide receivers on their being able to play. I think Pittsburgh Maulers could be the worst team in the league, but based off of everything that happened. So to recap, number 1, Tampa Bay Bandits. Number 2, Nolans Breakers. 3, Philadelphia Stars. 4, Birmingham Stallions. 5, New Jersey Generals. 6, the Gamblers. 7, Michigan Panthers. And 8, Pittsburgh Maulers. Let us know what you think, my friends, in the comments. What's your ranking? Evan Wilsmore has his Week 1 All-USFL team top performers from the opening game. Let us know what you think. The first week of the USFL season has come to an end, which means it's time to recognize those who stood out in the 4 inaugural games. The quality of play varied overall, but it's clear the USFL has found some serious talent. These series will be done every week with 2 players from each position, and there will be an honorable mention section as well. So here he goes, his players, and this is something for you fantasy freaks out there, whether you're doing Draftkings or News Hub Fantasy, to keep in mind. Brian Scott and Jamar Smith at quarterback. Running back, Jordan Ellis, Mark Thompson. Mark Thompson is a guy you definitely should keep an eye on. Osiris Mitchell and Randy Hatterfield. Stallions and Generals. Tight end, Sal Canella. Breakers, Shaney O'Grady. From the Bandits, the O-line units, the Gamblers and Generals. See, and that is one of the most important parts of your team, is the offensive line. I don't know why NFL drafts always pick wide receivers. Like, you I would always pick offensive line in the first round. And on defense, Quentin Meeks and Channing Stribbing from the Bandits and Stars. At safety, Shalom Luani from the Generals. He really played well. Arnold Tarpley from the Maulers. Lining back, Reggie Northrup and Donald Payne, both from the Gamblers, so they know they have a good defense. Davin Bellamy was a star this weekend for the Breakers, and Amon Gooden also from the Gamblers. So the Gamblers have a good defense going on there. They just need to get their offense. Maybe they could find they don't need a running back, but maybe a quarterback. Some honorable mentions: Vontae Diggs, a linebacker for the Breakers; Kaved Tenzo, linebacker for the Maulers; DeAndre Johnson, quarterback for the Generals; and Luis Perez, quarterback for the Generals as well. He goes down through some of the highlights for this week, but there you have it. Evan Wilsmore's week 1 all USFL team. Let us know what you think. Maybe is he missing anybody? Let us know in the comments. So the opening weekend TV ratings soared on Saturday, then they fall slightly on Sunday. This is from our man Mike Mitchell. The TV rating viewership totals are in for opening week of the USFL 2022 season on Sunday. The league sent out a press release to the media touting its projected combined Fox, NBC, and Peacock viewership totals for the USFL simulcast opener on Saturday night between the Birmingham Stallions and New Jersey Generals. The game peak viewership was 3.48 million from 10:45 to 11 Eastern, which is good. In context, you got to think about in 2020, the XFL had 3 games in their opening weekend that averaged 3 million viewers. XFL Sunday game on Fox had 3.4, highest rated non-NFL pro game since week 6 of the original XFL. As a reference, also AAF and XFL average over 3 million viewers in their debut as well. So for those wondering about the peak viewership comparisons after the USFL had nearly 3.5, the opening XFL game on ABC back in 2020 had peaked at 4 million viewers. So the USFL opening weekend TV rating, Saturday's Fox, 3 million viewers when combined with Fox and NBC. The USFL opener on Fox, the game averaged 1.757 million viewers, and on NBC, 1.310 million. For a 0.33 on Fox and a 0.23, though. It's the key adult demographic. Those are good numbers. Solid showing for the first game. The debut of non-NFL leagues have traditionally done well in recent times because the sample audience that tunes in. As a reference point, of course, the AAF on CBS 2 years ago in a similar primetime spot, 3.25. So fans, people tune in. The question is, will they stay engaged after the first game? And that was why they put it on both networks, to really have a big buzz and then to see how things go from there. Now, on Saturday afternoon on NBC, the XFL's game debuted 2020 with 3.3 million viewers. The league doubleheader game on Fox earned 3.290 million. The XFL back in 2020 had 3 games on opening weekend on Fox and ABC, respectively, 3 million per. The USFL debuted with just over 3 million viewers on 2 networks, held up favorably well against other prominent sports telecasts on networks television the past Saturday. NBA playoffs on ABC drew 4.52 million viewers. PGA Golf on CBS draw 2.09 million. The Sunday doubleheader on NBC and FS1 at lightning delay, of course, on Sunday afternoon, dampened the USFL's momentum Saturday night, but ratings for the Michigan-Houston, which was delayed for almost an hour, was pretty strong, all things considered. The NBC broadcast of the Panthers Gambler game delivered 2.153 million viewers. As for more viewer numbers are available, for the article, it will get updated. Weather delay, of course, shifted a bunch of things around and ultimately caused them to move the Bandits Pittsburgh Maulers game to Monday night, but overall Sunday NBC was a positive one. The Panthers Gamblers game on NBC Easter Sunday earned a healthy 4.0 in the Detroit market. That number far exceeds the rating that Detroit Pistons games regularly averaged during the season. The second half was supposed to be of the tripleheader, saw the Philadelphia Stars New Orleans Breakers game on USA Network, averaged 771,000 viewers with a 0.11 in the big adult demo. Modest number, but in line with other sports leagues and shows who deliver similar numbers on cable television. The USA Network's USFL game ranked 13th out of the top 50 cable shows on Sunday. Then the Monday rating. The matchup between the Bandits and Maulers on FS1 at 7 p.m. averaged 268,000 viewers with a 0.6 in that demo. The telecast ranked 90th out of 150 cables. That is good. though it's still, I mean, it was able to move people over and people were interested. I mean, I guess we were doing XFL Week in Review podcast, so maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah, probably not. Our numbers were down too. So 268,000, not too bad. So week 2, we'll have a first action on Friday night, April 22nd, as the Michigan Panthers face the New Jersey Generals on USA Network. That's prime time, 8 p.m. Saturday, you got the Maulers Stars at 12, and then on Fox, followed by the Birmingham Stallions and Houston Gamblers at 7. Then Sunday afternoon, Breakers will battle the Bandits, 3 o'clock on NBC. That is going to be the definite game of the week. Ratings are in. Mike Mitchell will cover all of this as the year goes on. Where we all kind of thought things would be, 3 million per. The question is, how much it's going to drop. There's no question about it. How much of it's going to drop. I think people will give it a chance for week 2 and week 3. Then once you get to week 4 and 5, that's where we're going to see where this whole league is going to be standing in the end. Attendance for the first USFL game, 17,500. So Joseph Goodman of AL.com. The attendance for the inaugural USFL game between the Generals and Stallions was 17,500. It said, quote, announced attendance was 17,500 for the first game between the Stallions, 28, Generals, 24. Not bad for a rainy day. That cleared up just before kickoff. USFL said that had over 40,000 tickets were sold or distributed. Sold or distributed. They're kind of two different things, but I'll take it. Good. And it was a holiday weekend. We get all that stuff. The question is, what, like going forward now, Ron Zelensky said that the Birmingham Irons announced attendance for its first game against Memphis was 17,000. So that's kind of the number. I think if they can get to 15,000 for their second game this week, I think that would be a success. If it drops to 2,000, that could be a problem, but we'll just have to kind of see. But the crowd was decent. I mean, not crazy raucous, like some of the XFL games there, but nonetheless, it was decent, all things considered, with the weather and the holiday. It's just this, everybody's just kind of on this wait and see what's going to happen with the USFL, with attendance, with TV ratings, and with the gameplay going forward.
John Peterson, personnel director.
What's up, man?
Hi, Coach.
Good morning, man.
Well, he crossed the line. So we had to deal with it.
This is very difficult for me as a head coach, my first time. But we have a business. Okay, this is a business, and you're a businessman. We all are, because that's the nature of the beast right now. But when I first talked to you guys on March 22nd, I had a handbook. I covered some items that were very important to me.
Line 46 addresses that. Any disrespect of football or members, staff, USFL, hotel, etc. would not be tolerated.
And it's been brought to my attention that has occurred with you. So unfortunately, hear me out, unfortunately, cost of doing business, I'm going to have to let you go. Okay?
I didn't think I did anything or said anything disrespectful.
I can tell you what happened exactly.
It's not important right now.
Right.
It's not important.
I don't know.
It's already happened.
Right.
It's already happened.
I didn't say anything disrespectful. He said, is that going to be a problem? I said, yes. That's it. And I walked away. I mean, I didn't think that was disrespectful. Me saying yes, I don't eat chicken salad. And I was like, is there another option? Walked in with pizza, and I was like, can I get a slice of pizza? He said, no. I was like, he said, is that going to be a problem? I said, yes. That's all I said. I didn't say no cuss word, nothing. That's all I said. I promise you. No disrespectful on my dad's life. I promise you I didn't say nothing disrespectful besides yes.
And I appreciate you sharing that, but the matters, it's done. It's done. I appreciate you sharing that, but good luck.
Someone's feelings, hurt feelings, are a distant second to the greater good of the team. And we've moved on and turned that page, and I'm happy we did it.
I can't mope about something. Just go home and work. I ain't no dumb dude, so I'll figure it out.
Well, the thing about this whole situation is I have a set of standards that we go by as a football team. Those standards weren't met. That individual knew prior that we weren't having a prior agreement to prevent a later misunderstanding. Once those incidents were brought to my attention, I addressed them immediately because these are life lessons. They have nothing to do with football when you're trying to teach people how to respect other people, no matter how you see or view them. And he had immediately reached back out, apologized, committed to trying to be a better man and a better person from the incident, but we had already moved on. The decision had been made because, as I said, there's a prior agreement in place to prevent later misunderstandings. It's very unfortunate that it went out as a one-sided story, but I've been around this business too long. I've coached Hall of Famers, and it's not anything different. What I coach now, I've coached 20 years ago. When I talk to Emmitt Smith, when I talk to Edgerrin James, when I coach Adrian Peterson, when I coach Curtis Martin, I coach them the same. I'm not asking any man on this football team to do anything differently than I coach those men to do. And it's really, we have a very, very high standard of football. It wasn't met today. And when we have a player that steps out of line with what we believe in as a staff, it must be dealt with. And I did. And I didn't think twice about it. We did the right thing and we moved on.
Is there any avenue for him to get back on the team?
Not at this point. I'd be, more than willing to help him with any other football team that ask or inquire about him, but that has not happened.
So you saw the clip from United We Stand, the USFL TV show. We all wondered at the time what happened to Devin Smith and why he was let go. We thought he was going to be one of the top running backs in the league, and now we found out. Then this clip played, and I tweeted, I was like, oh, now we know why he got cut. But then nothing really happened until somebody took the clip of the video, and it went viral on social media. Then at the end of the Pittsburgh Maulers game, the coach Kirby Wilson had to sit down and talk about it. So you saw there, then the footage came out. It went viral. Devin Smith tweeted that from his personal account on the day the documentary was released, one word, wild. He posted that out after reactions about the clip started to spread on Monday. Smith wrote, I said nothing disrespectful or did anything disrespectful. He said that then. The reaction through the sports world was not kind. Fan Control Football reached out to him and said, hey, we want to be in our league. We like pizza here. Hit our DMs. Fan Control, which I think if they're not going to bring him back in the USFL, he absolutely should head down to Fan Control Football and play in that league. That would be awesome. Damian Woody said this is BS, not a good look at all. And Willie Anderson, a Hall of Fame tackle, said, please, God, don't allow this coach or any coaches like him to have success. I can't stand these kind of nose in the air types coaches. What is his name? He couldn't wait to cut this dude. He wanted to hear the bad news ASAP. Let's just rejoice when they fire his Patuki. Even Pat McAfee went on to talk about this on his show and had some criticism too. Then the Maulers eventually released a statement about the Devon Smith being cut. It took a while for them to get out. It says on the first episode, the weekly USFL Access docuseries on Fox, Devin Smith was shown on camera being cut from our team by Coach Kirby Wilson. The show captures hundreds of hours of film with the intent of providing transparency to his fan, but unfortunately, much of the context was left out in this moment. Smith had violated 3 team rules in a 24-hour span, and in particular incident disrespected a cafeteria worker, which wasn't captured on camera. Smith has subsequently reached out directly to Coach Wilson to apologize and asked to be reinstated to the Maulers roster. According to Smith, he says that they're lying, and that's where this kind of stands, and that's kind of the end of it. I would think if I was Devon Smith, I would just take the head over to the Fan Control Football. I doubt unless any other teams are going to bring him in. We don't know. We weren't there, but it certainly got people talking. I don't necessarily know if that was a good thing. Not all press, is great press. I'm not sure this looked too well on the USFL side of things, but it was addressed, and we will see. It makes for certain, definitely some interesting television. That is for certain. The USFL unveils its championship trophy ahead of kickoff. It looks pretty cool. We have pictures of it on USFL News Hub. So the USFL has done something the XFL never did in 2020, and that's revealing its championship trophy before the league kicked off in 2022. The XFL never showed their trophy. There was drawings of it. So in Canton, Ohio, the United States Football League will play its playoff and championship game at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. The playoffs will begin Saturday, June 25th, with the top 2 teams in each division facing each other in the league semifinals, and the final 2 teams will play in the inaugural USFL championship game on Sunday, July 3rd. I plan on being there. The journey begins today, and there you have the new trophy looking pretty cool. The winner of the USFL trophy will take it home. The winner of the USFL championship will take home the new USFL championship trophy. However, the old trophy is in Canton, Ohio as well. It's at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's similar to the NHL's Stanley Cup. The reigning champion's name is on the trophy until it was passed to a new winner. So this is the original USFL championship trophy, which is also kind of cool. The first USFL championship trophy was awarded to the Michigan Panthers after their 24-22 victory over the Philadelphia Stars in the first USFL championship game back in July 17th, 1983. Almost 30 years ago. The trophy was donated to the Pro Football Hall of Fame by Carl Peterson. He took possession of the trophy as GM of the Baltimore Stars when they won the final USFL championship game on July 14th, 1985. Baltimore beat the Oakland Invaders 28-24. Of course, then the USFL had its game and on the double broadcast. What do you think? I think the old USFL trophy looks really cool. Can't wait when I'm in Canton, Ohio, to check out the old trophy as well as get a chance to check out the new trophy. I like it. It looks pretty cool. We will see it in Canton, Ohio on July 3rd. A federal judge rules in favor of the new USFL, allows logos and trademarks to be used. This is from our Andrew Murray. So on the eve of their inaugural kickoff, the USFL has secured a significant but potentially temporary victory off the field. A federal court judge ruled to not block the league's usage of logos and trademarks purchased from the previous regime. U.S. Judge John Walter said that the league could proceed with its use of trademarks and logos as they would not cause, quote, irreparable harm to the plaintiffs, the real USFL. He cited lack of use with their intellectual property in recent years leading up to the purchase of the trademarks by Fox. In his statement, Walter wrote, quote, plaintiffs asserts its ownership rights in abandoned trademarks that have been barely used for decades. Plaintiff does not seek to use the marks to promote its own football league that would compete with defendant's new league, and plaintiff's member activities in the past 40 years to preserve the legacy of the old league are virtually non-existent. So he's like, you guys haven't been doing anything. Judge Walter also cited the lack of expediency from the original owners to file a trademark infringement claim. A hearing on a preliminary injunction to block the usage of the trademark was initially set for yesterday, April 18th, with Walter's ruling on Thursday last week. This allows USFL to kick off with no threats. Haven't heard anything yet when it comes to this. Judge Walters simultaneously opened the door for the owners of the 1980s USFL to pursue their copyright infringement claim. Furthermore, Judge Walter asserted that the old guard will, quote, likely prevail on its trademark infringement claim. In a written statement provided by the old USFL lawyer Nicholas Metrick, we are pleased with the court's ruling. The merits Fox deliberately decided to launch their new league using the same names and teams as the old league in an apparent attempt to capitalize on the nostalgia for the old league. And also satisfying to see the court reject what calls Fox incredibly disingenuous argument. Although the court is now letting Fox move ahead with the league for now, Fox is doing so on the foundation it didn't build. The court's ruling shows that the rights of the people that built the original league will ultimately be vindicated. Ben Fisher of Sports Business Journal reported that this will most likely lead to some sort of settlement between Fox and the old ownership. What the final figure would end up being is unclear presently. This would not be the first instance of the original owners claiming a league settlement. They famously sued the NFL for their millions in antitrust lawsuit and won, but were only awarded $3.76 for their case. For the time being, Fox and USFL will carry on in its latest attempt to revitalize spring football, at least for this year. What lies beyond the season in terms of legal litigation with the previous USFL owners remains to be seen. So they kind of won, and they kind of lost. We'll just have to find out how this story unfolds as the season moves on. So the USFL mascots' names were revealed. We rate the fan-created names and mascots and costumes. This is from Kenyon Smith. He wrote this up. All right, so here we go. Earlier this week, the USFL announced that each team would have its own official mascot. The teams began posting pictures and videos revealing their new mascots, each claiming to be the best in the league. Shortly after reveals, it was announced that all 8 teams were going to allow fans on Twitter to vote for the mascot's official name. Each team provided 3 pre-selected names, created a poll, and here's what the people decided. Are you ready for this, my friends? Birmingham Stallions, Stanley the Stallion. I like it. Stanley the Stallion. That's a good one. Hold on. Let's get my reaction because I haven't really... we'll split screen it to get my reaction here. Stanley the Stallion. I like it for the Birmingham Stallions. Gave it a mascot grade of B. Nomination names were Magic, Stanley, and Buck. Stanley was the winner. He gave it a C-. I like Stanley. That's fun. Houston Gamblers. We're all in. Introducing Ace. Ace is the winner of the contest. I don't know about that. He gave the mascot a B-. He liked the name. A. Ace, Jackpot, Chip, and Tex. I think out of those selections, I'd have to go with Ace as well on that mascot name. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going. Michigan Panthers. Their name for their mascot, which was kind of the lamest of the costumes. It's like something from high school. What is the mascot's name? Oh, Pablo. What? Mascot grade to give a C+. Name F. I got to agree. Pablo? Pablo is the name you came up with? That is very lame, my friends. Pablo, Hunter, Pablo, and Mitch. Mitch? All right, Mitch again. Hunter. I would probably go Hunter or Mitch. Pablo or Peter? What? Those are terrible. Terrible. Definitely an F. New Jersey Generals. Attention, your squad lot there. General Jersey. Yeah. Okay, he gave the mascot a B+. He liked A-. General Gene, General Jersey, General George, General Joe, General Jersey. If I had to pick those, okay. That's fine. General Jersey. That's okay. I'll take that. New Orleans Breakers with the best mascot, Dave the Wave. Very cool. Dave the Wave. Good mascot. A+. He didn't like the name. I like the name Dave the Wave. Breaker Bill, Breaker Brock, Splash, Dave the Wave. I like Dave the Wave. I'd probably pick Dave the Wave. Definitely the coolest mascot of all out there. The Philadelphia Stars, the worst mascot, and the Blob. I was thinking the mascot's name should be WTF. And then you can fill in whatever WTF stands for. But Blob that would be hilarious. If it was WTF, but then you could just make it mean like World Theater Freak, something. That's what you should be called, WTF. The mascot is a D. He gave the name an A. Astro, Cosmo, Blob. I mean, if any of those, Cosmo, I probably would have went with. But, yeah, he liked the name. Says it gives him a Yo Gabba Gabba feel. Oh, that's going old school if you got kids out there. Pittsburgh Maulers. Marty, the Mauler. All right, he's kind of scary looking. He kind of looked a little serious. Mascot, he gave it A-. Name A. You got Mauler Mike, Hard Hat Henry, Marty the Mauler. I'll go with Marty the Mauler. I think that's a good one. Tampa Bay Bandits. My Tampa Bay Bandits, which will scare kids. That's definitely going to scare kids. The Bayside Bandit. Nah, I'm not feeling that one. He gave it an A. Barry the Bandit, Billy the Bandit, Bayside Bandit. The mascot, B+. He gave a B+. I think it's just a little scary. He gave it an A. So there you have it. the mascots from the USFL. What do you think? The names, we'll go recap them real quick. I think I like the best. Stanley the Stallion. That's a great one. He's good. Ace for the Houston Gamblers. This Michigan Panthers, Pablo, is just what? New Jersey General Jersey, he's cool. Dave the Wave. I like Dave the Wave. That would be my second favorite for the Nolans Breakers. The Philadelphia Blob Stars, whatever that thing is. That's down the whole list. Pittsburgh Maulers, Marty the Mauler. I think I like him third. That's okay. And then the one that scares children in the middle of the night, Bayside Bandit. I'm not sure about that one, but he liked that too. So let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think of these USFL mascots? And we need to have a petition that the Blob's name be changed to WTF. That's his name, WTF. So if you're like me and have kids and you're driving around and you're missing the game, have no fear, because if you have Sirius XM, you can actually listen to the games. And I was actually able to listen to the game in the car ride. So the USFL 2022 season to be presented in more than 130 countries worldwide and on Sirius XM. That was the most important to me, was this thing. So the live 4-team international USFL schedule includes playoffs and championship games. American Armed Forces Network will carry games to U.S. troops serving around the world. Sirius XM Radio will carry audio broadcasts domestically. USFL, of course, kicked off 130s worldwide. Fans will have access. You have the schedule, broader international distribution. So the countries in which USFL games will be available, which is expected to grow, include North America, Europe, Africa, Middle East, all major English-speaking markets, featuring Canada, South Africa, Australia. Very cool there. That's going to be everywhere. Armed Forces Radio. Domestically, ABC Sports Audio, that's where I was listening on Sirius XM, will carry a broadcast of each of the 22 games presented on NBC. In addition, Fox Sports on Sirius will carry the audio of the USFL games on Fox and FS1. So that's pretty cool. You can go get a chance. I don't know if you can do a replay on the games on audio there on Sirius XM, on the Sirius XM app, if you can listen to the broadcast of those as well. All right, we'll take a little commercial break, and then we'll get into our picks and DFS and so your social media stuff. So stay tuned, my friends.
Saturday, it's a huge day of USFL action. First, at noon on Fox, Kyle Arletta leads the Pittsburgh Maulers as they take on Brian Scott and the Philadelphia Stars. Then, on FS1, the Birmingham Stallions go head-to-head against the Houston Gamblers. Oh, what a play! The USFL, Saturday on Fox and FS1.
All right, my friends, let's get into some of that betting stuff. So USFL is now on DraftKings. You can play DFS. I did not play well, but clearly because who knows what players were good. So you can now play daily fantasy on DraftKings. The site released its section just in time for week 1. It's up on there now. Classic and showdown contests are available. USFL scoring rules, 3-point conversion points, the breakdowns of the positions. You have a quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flex, and defense is kind of the things. DraftKings has a thing of all the scoring breakdowns, of course, the overtime rules, double forward pass, all that fun stuff. Now, if you want stats on these players, you can find them on USFL News Hub. Just go to our menu and click stats. We have all the stats. We have passing stats with Brian Scott leading the way at 202 yards. Shea Patterson, who started off slow but picked it up. Luis Perez with his 2 touchdowns. Running, DeAndre Johnson with his 98 yards, and Jordan Ellis with his 89 yards and a touchdown. Receiving leaders, Randy Satterfield and Osiris Mitchell. We have all those stats on USFL News Hub. You can go over there. So here are my DraftKings picks. Real quick, this was from last week's game. I didn't do well at all. Let's see, where was my team here? So I finished 25th. out of 40-something players, 39. So I finished 25th, did not have a good showing. So I had Brian Scott, Madre London. I thought he was going to Pittsburgh. I'm staying away from. Turpin from New Jersey had 4 points. Angeline from Birmingham had 11 points and a touchdown. Gray got me 4. Zuber was my flex. He got a touchdown, 11 points, and the Stars defense got me 3. The winner of this, just to give you an idea, so I got, let's see here, that was 49 points. The winner actually had 81 points. One guy got nothing, but he's got TJ Logan Jr. got 21 points. 21 points from the Breakers defense. Scott the third got him 14 points. That's just the kind of way things are going to be. He took the other running back from, I think they're going to do 2 running back system. I would stay away from them. On the DFS, my picks for this week, I got Jordan Ta'amu, London Mitchell, Satterfield, Holland, Lenore Jr., and the Breakers defense. I picked the best of everything. Basically how everybody did last week. You can go out there and give it a shot of those picks for your DFS. But I just picked all the top guys from last week. Hopefully it will carry over. And I still had plenty of money left over. Let's get to the picks for this week. So last week's scores. Let's see. I picked Birmingham. Birmingham did win, even though I was really pushing for the Generals. I thought they would get the hometown deal. The Stars and Breakers. Breakers are a team to beat now. Breakers are up there. They beat the Stars, though it was a higher scoring game also compared to the last 2 games. I had the Stars lighten them up, but I think the Breakers defense could be the top defense in the league, maybe also with Tampa. The Gamblers 17 over the Panthers. I didn't think Houston would do that good, but the Panthers didn't look that good. They started to come on in the second half, but just wasn't enough. And I picked the Tampa Bay Bandits over the Pittsburgh Maulers 26-10, and it was 17-3. So basically you're getting those scores in that 17 above range. I think the Maulers are not going to be good on offense all season long. I don't know if they'll win a game. But here are my picks for this week's games. So I got 50-50. I was 2 for 2. Not perfect, but 2 for 2. This week's games, Michigan versus New Jersey, your Friday night game. I've got Michigan 13, New Jersey. I think they have the offense with Luis Perez and, that dual off quarterback thing. I think it will work for them. I think the Generals and Mike Riley take the win 17-13. Game 2, Pittsburgh Maulers, Philadelphia Stars. Always pick against Pittsburgh. I got Philadelphia 18, Pittsburgh 3. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be able to do anything on offense, and that's where they'll stand in that game. So always pick against Pittsburgh. Probably Philadelphia would be a good defense to start also in DFS as well. Birmingham Stallions versus Houston. This one, I think the Stallions were winning. I think Houston, not that they got lucky, but they kind of got lucky to win because the Panthers didn't play that well. Though Houston's defense is good, I think Birmingham's offense is better. 28-10. I've got Birmingham over Houston. And the final game, the game of the week, New Orleans Breakers, prime time, I believe, on, let's double check that schedule. I believe that is prime time. This week, New Orleans Breakers, Tampa Bay Bandits on Sunday. They've got the whole world in front of them. Actually, I think it's a 3 o'clock game on Sunday, not prime time. Friday night is prime time. I got a close game. Tampa Bay 17, New Orleans Breakers 14. Why? Because it's a homer's pick, and I want the Tampa Bay Bandits to win. So here's your final pick. I got Jersey beating Michigan, Philadelphia crushing Pittsburgh, Birmingham. This one could be a little bit closer because Houston's defense is good, 28-10. And then the game of the week, New Orleans Breakers, Tampa Bay Bandits. I got my Tampa Bay Bandits beating the New Orleans Breakers 17-14. Let us know who you think is going to win this week's games in the comments.
This weekend, get ready for more hard-hitting USFL action. Friday at 8 Eastern on USA, the Michigan Panthers take on the New Jersey Generals. Then, Sunday on NBC and Peacock, The New Orleans Breakers go head-to-head against the Tampa Bay Bandits. The USFL, this weekend on USA, NBC, and Peacock.
All right, my friends, we are back. What's up, everybody in chat room? Make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Spread the word about the USFL, because the more that these videos get liked, the more they get pushed to other football fans, and then you get more and more people to tune into the games and be good. Be good. What's up, everybody in the chat? Greg says top performer, hands down, Jamar Smith. Yvonne, Christian McFarland. David says Lance Lenore, who I just picked, 71 yards and a TD, and should have gotten an honorable mention. I agree there, but I put him on my DFS team. Mike says hello from Winnipeg. I know quite a few people who took in some of the games. I liked it. Got to pick a team. I just picked it for you, Mike. There you go. Tampa Bay Bandits. As far away from Canada as you can get is the Tampa Bay Bandits. But even though everybody's in Birmingham, blah, 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 blah. But there you go. That's what it'd be. Jared says, that is so nice of Fan Control Football to shout out to him. Yes, I like Fan Control Football. They had a good week. T.O. scored a touchdown. It's been fun. I got to pick the players on my team this week who we wanted to keep. Team 8, Oki is my team, a NFT person, and I have them. Greg says, what a magical night to really appreciate the atmosphere. You had to have been there. Go Stallions. So Gregory was there, I assume, Greg. You were saying that you're there? That's awesome. I wish I was there too. I know Reed from Markcast and Andy was also there from all our News Hub sites. They were there hanging out. Should be a lot of fun out there. Jared says, we love Blob. I love his dancing. Yes, it's funny. He says, the Blob to me is an alien flying in the universe on a star. Pablo is a name for a mascot you would use in a Mexican soccer league. He says, I like Dave the Wave. Don't like the Michigan Panthers too. Kitty for me. I agree. General Jersey looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid general. I would give you that. I'd give you that. Greg says, Breakers defense is good, but offense is suspect. True, but I think they had some good runners on that too. Chris says, shut up and eat your chicken salad. It's got to be gluten-free pizza, preferably cauliflower crust. All right. I'm a cauliflower crust gluten-free guy. That is medical gluten-free because I took a test. I had gluten allergies. So yeah. Chris says Nolans DN is a monster. Totally agree with that. Greg says I like the pick in the Houston Stallions game. Chris has got Michigan 27, New Jersey 333. M. Pasco Stallions 2810 is too high in my opinion. I think you're right. It might be too high. I looked at that a second time. Thanks for everybody smashing the like button. Take a second to smash the like button. I agree with. I'm thinking that Stallions pick might be a little too high. The Stallions score. Yeah, Chris has got Pitt 0, Philadelphia 27, and mash the like button. Mom says Blob is a degenerate. That's from Chris. Checking in on the social, on the chat. We appreciate everybody in the chat from there, as well as all of our super fans on the Facebook as well. Appreciate everybody on there as well. Let's get into some of your social media stuff. It's nice that we don't have, well, we always let the show run a little bit long compared to other ones, but you know how it is. All right, let's go on to social media stuff. From our video on the Facebook, David says, I think every USF team should play on their home turf instead of playing in Birmingham all at once. We agree, but this is the business model that they're using, so that's why they're doing it. This is part of the business model going forward. Oh, what is all this stuff? All right. Let's see. Fox and NBC experimental USFL broadcast will literally take you inside the huddle. Daniel says USFL needs Monday Night Football in the spring as well. Well, they did. They did have Monday Night Football. I mean, on FS1, and that didn't do that well there. Let's see here. Let's clean this up first. Yeah, they did. They did have it, though it was a last minute kind of thing. And that's why, the ratings were not that good. But I wish they would put games on Monday night, but they're just trying to get everything in one shot on the weekends because, maybe they'll try. But hey, we got a Friday night game. We'll see how that goes. Daniel says, I wonder if the USFL will have any big stars on any team's rosters like Flutie and Walker was back in the 80s. They're not going to spend that kind of money on guys like that. Maybe you get a college name in there, but none of that kind of nothing like it was before. They're not going to spend the money. Steve says, so I wonder if the USFL players are going to kneel like they're on American NFL. Blah, 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 blah. Stop. Steve, stop watching Fox News. Stop watching, even though Fox owns USFL, stop watching Talk News. Listen, I've heard this silly, uninformed, talking point, radio hate, television. I hate all, and this goes for both sides of the aisle. I've talked to football players in the NFL, nothing to do with hating America whatsoever. You talk to an NFL player, had nothing to do with that, my friend. That was taken and used for the other side just to piss you off so that you pay attention. And that's all it is. So stop being a sheep. Stop watching TV reality or news programming and radio programming that is there to just piss you off so that you continue to watch and listen, because that's all they do. And I was a Fox person and talk radio person that was sucked into that vortex. And I used to be like the argue guy. This was years ago because I thought I was smarter than everybody else because I watched the news. When in fact, I was just being a puppet to the man, because that's how they work it. They piss you off to get you to watch and get you to listen. Because if they didn't do that, you wouldn't. If you weren't scared that they were going to take something from you, or you weren't scared or they would do something to piss you off, you wouldn't watch. That's why. But the younger generation is getting away from that because they don't want to do that. They don't want to watch things that piss them off. That's why I'd rather watch Hallmark Channel than any news. And my wife would appreciate that too. So think about your wives too and the people around you. Stop watching that garbage. Robert Johnson says, do they have a plan to make the league survive? Yeah. People were asking me after the weekend, what did I think? I mean, it's very up in the air right now. It's very up in the air. We will have to see how things go. You have the XFL came out and, they're going to pay their players more and they're going to, whatever the USFL does wrong. Yes, there is a thing about being first to market. That's in the technology space. I'm not sure it applies in this instance, however, because what it gives you is an opportunity to take advantage of what your opponent does wrong. And so the XFL said, we're going to pay more players. Oh, and we're going to have a pipeline with the NFL, which is what you want. Oh, we're going to pay for your room and your food. Something the USFL didn't do. So what is the USFL going to have to do? They're going to have to pay their players just like the XFL does. And I don't think they want to do that. And that, and there's also more roster spots in the XFL. So we'll have to see. It's been mixed, but it's just started. The XFL wasn't like that. The AAF was kind of like that, where it was kind of like, what the heck's going on? We're just going to have to play out. Somebody's going to win this war in the end. Somebody's going to win. Who knows who it will be? Let's get to the YouTubes. On there, Aldo Castino says, please tell me how Tampa Bay has a great offense. Why do you like Jordan Ta'amu? I think he was a good athlete, but not a real polished passer. So do not agree with you, but we shall see. Hey, man, we won. We won. I think he's one of the better. And he was, just in NFL camps this year, a couple of them. I think he's got game, and you saw. We'll see. And it's, and there's a lot of talk. We're having an article coming out on USFL News Hub about this apparently golf-sized ball thing that's this chip that we don't even see the data from the chip, but there's a chip in the ball and it's affecting the way they throw the ball and it's affecting the way they're kicking the ball. So there's something there too. So do we have to keep an eye on that? Jared said, I'm crying and laughing here. Your reaction to the Stars mascot made me laugh so hard. Thank you very much. The Prolific Network, I'm so glad USFL is back, but watching the game clips, I felt like TSL football. And that didn't keep my attention. The XFL is heads above all of the entertaining leagues. Even more enjoyable than the NFL. Only thing NFL had on the side is its history, but the league today is very unsatisfying and fixed. I don't think it's fixed. Do you know if it was fixed, how? There's just no way. There's too many people to, but I don't like that conspiracy theory. AAF could have been improved. Their leadership stank. UFL stuck around on life support after its second year. I don't know why these billionaires start football leagues and they let them fall apart. Could be a tax write-off. I don't know. All I know is there's 4 fates I'd accept for spring football. Whatever happens, the USFL can't fail, and the XFL, although better, may not be stronger. The USFL is a grooming league for 8 expansion teams, each going into 4 divisions of each conference process merge. XFL and MLFB merge becomes a primary spring league once USFL teams join the NFL. USFL teams are not joining the NFL. USFL and XFL merge in 3 years. That's something I could see. USFL thrives and adds more historic teams from the past, and XFL falls off. That also is a possibility, too. It's really what it's going to come down to, I think, in the end, when it comes to these leagues going head-to-head, is the USFL. I would assume that they're going to make it through this year. They're going to go into year 2. If they can make it after the XFL had its run, and they can make it in a year 2, and things look good and things will improve, I have a feeling. I'm very confident that the gameplay will get better. They just did 3 weeks of training, and that's it. It's just kind of very, we'll have to see. But I would say then you go to year 3. Will they merge with the XFL? Or the XFL says, meh, we don't need it because you have a headache already, USFL, with your copyright problems. So I'm not sure the XFL would even be interested in merging. But the USFL could thrive. But right now, the hype is not there. But who knows? The XFL could screw things up by doing a hub city too, waiting for people to buy their teams. It's just, we're just going to have to find out. But if anything, if you're a spring football fan and you like either leagues or you don't like, we're going to know some of these players. And they might make it to, some of them are going to make it to NFL camps. And some of them will play in the XFL and some of them will play in the USFL again. And it's just great to have spring football. Would you rather have baseball? Who the heck wants to watch baseball? Even though I have a fantasy baseball team. I'm going to go after this show. I missed the first half of the Tampa Bay Bandits game. So I'm going to put that on after this. James says I may be in the mirror on this, but I think Philadelphia Stars mascots make sense. It's the Stars, and Space Connection makes sense for an alien. We're also talking about the same city with the Fanatic and Gritty. Yeah. You're right. I just, making fun of it. It's the Blob. WTF. That's its name. Wango Theodore Fodargo. That's his name. WTF. Moochie, what happens when the technology fails during the game with no umpires? Besides, have you watched, quote, your beer belly refs run with some of these players? I feel like the human error that happens, it makes the game more controversial and frustrating and fun to talk about. No, Moochie, no, I hate that. Just get it right. I'm a person who, I guess we all have stressful lives, right? And I'm so glad I have my Savior, Lord Jesus Christ, in my life to kind of keep me, chill and fully rely on God. I got that stuff. I don't want controversy or frustrating. It's not fun to talk about. I just wanted to get right. I just want it to be right. That's all. There's too much controversy and frustrating things in the universe. I don't want to have that in my football as well. Let the computers do it. Yabba Dabba Doo says, exactly, I love the channel, but I just get rid of chains and umpires is just stupid. They don't even use the tech. Please just don't want to accept human error. People have become way too microwave dependent, and now it's in my sports. Shake my head. I'm a tech guy, so let's let the computers figure it out. And he says, I like VCRs. Oh, my goodness. They aren't getting rid of the chains. Just stop. I mean, you saw the guys there. Here is all this fancy tech that they had going on during the games. They were like, oh, this fancy tech we have. Did anybody in the chat, did you see them break out with the chip in the ball, with the kickers complaining that the ball, this something inside the ball that's making it thrown off? Everybody's complaining that the ball is not the same ball. You heard Pat McAfee talk about it on his show today. We didn't see it. Did you see it aside from the drones, which was kind of cool and kind of not, because they're flying around? I could see them on the screen. What other new tech was there? I didn't see it. I mean, when the guy crossed the plane for a touchdown, did you see the tech? I didn't see the tech. I wanted to, but I didn't see it. Let me know in the comments if you saw the tech. I didn't see it. On Instagram, Russell the Truth Seeker, this is very disturbing. I hope none of the XFL coaches do this stuff. And he said, what? Talking about the pizza thing. And don't use the word Pizzagate. I cannot stand when it's something controversial, you got to put gate behind it. Yo, that happened before I was born. Let's be a little bit more creative, people, and doing something other than Pizzagate. Let's call it, and then they haven't really called it, but I've seen it like floated out there at least a bit. Like, call it something else that's fun. Chat room, make up something right now. What are we going to call this pizza drama? The pizza salad drama. The pizza salad conundrum. That's too hard to spell, I guess. On to the Twitter. Jersey Generals, Mike Mitchell, emerging gear up for week 2. He's got a whole thing. Bill Pitskin Punk says, I personally think they ran too much with Johnson in the 4th. Became too predictable down at the goal line. Understanding Perez has only been there a few weeks, but Perez was sharp when he was in the game. Hey, you know what? The other thing? Not a lot of people were there either. Not a lot of people were there either, players. So let's see. At Charlie, a bunch of numbers. He says, LOL, top performer is a guy being cut for wanting pizza. There you have it there. Dude, that's going to come up. They're not going to get with it. Anyway, we had this one. This was from a Reddit user. He said, a closer look at Kirby's play card. So you see him looking there. And then below that, he's got a menu with chicken and salads and no pizza. I thought that was funny. Come on. It's funny. All good. Hey, USFL had their, where was I? I was looking at this. The USFL had some of their picks for some players of the week, some polls. I was going to go through those. Where is that? Oh, special teams of the week. Brandon Aubrey, Will Likely, Chad Williams, Brandon Wright with a bomb of a kick. And I'm sure it might have been weighted because of that thing was in the ball. I picked Brandon Wright on that one. He's at 30. Let's see. He's at 30%. And Chad Williams is also defensive player of the week. Davin Bellamy, and that's who I got. 40% of the vote there. This is fun. First take TDs. Offensive player of the week. Jamar Smith, Mark Thompson, Jordan Ellis, Shaney O'Grady. I'm giving Jamar Smith 40%. I voted there as well. So I thought that was kind of fun on the social media stuff. Speaking of fun, let's see here. Speaking of fun, how about before we get into our phone calls and emails, let's take a look at fantasy football. USFL Fantasy Football is on News Hub Fantasy, so check this out. Our first week is complete. Definitely, have to fix some things on the site, but this is just, we're getting bigger, growing. Now we're in beta test mode, I would say, after getting for the first week. What we added, which is unique, we had the top players of the week: Randy Satterfield, Arias Mitchell, DeAndre Johnson, Jamar Davis Smith, Trey Williams as your top players of the week. And we also, if your team is awesome, we put you on there as well. So all or nothing from Fantasy 2, the USFL Bogaloo. He got 56 points. Life is Liam Payne, One Direction Fanatic Fantasy Football League. He got 55. Old Boys, USFL Fantasy 54. Our own Matt Lyons, no pun intended, on the News Hub Writers League, got 53. And our own friends from the USFL Week in Review Podcast League, Andrew Labarge team, he got 51. So congratulations to those guys out there You can see I have lots of testing accounts trying to get everything working right. But I think that's a fun little thing to show fans who kind of got the best scores of the week. And speaking of the best, let's get to, let's see here. Let's get to a couple phone calls to close out the show, shall we?
Hi, I'm calling from Eastern Massachusetts. I live not far from Gillette Stadium, and I've always been a big supporter of spring football. One quick observation listening to Boston Sports Radio, as I do, is that a lot of, especially the morning sportscasters and sports commentators, are now sort of warming up, I think, to the USFL and other aspects of spring football. Here's why. A couple of years old, going back to XFL, when he was trying to, get a firm footing, and of course ran into those terrible difficulties in the end. But, the XFL was kind of doing pretty well, and there were still guys in Boston Sports Radio going, oh, geez, I've never watched that. It's second-rate players. But yet they'll talk about, like, baseball players for the Red Sox that are going down to the AAA franchise, which is now in Worcester. Was in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So, look, if baseball has AAA, AA, and A ball, Carolina leagues, you name it, why can't football have something else other than college?
All right. Thanks for the phone call. Absolutely. You make a fantastic point. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, if you're going to talk about AAA and AA, if you're going to talk about college football for that matter, there is no problem talking about the USFL and that reign. So you make a great point there. Appreciate the phone call. Totally agree with you there. Jose says, hi, good luck on the season. Can't wait for the kickoff. Where can I write coaches and players? Mailing address. There is no mailing address that I know of. Maybe you could send a letter to the stadium. Protective Stadium. That's a place where I think you can do that. Let's see here. Glenda says, how about this for a name? New Orleans Breakers mascot could be named Breeze after Drew Brees. Breeze would be that's a great name. That is a great name. I love that. But clearly Drew Brees would be like, you're copying my infringement, the whole deal. And you probably have to pay him too. So that's why it's not happening. On to another phone call.
Hi, my name's Jared, and I had a question. I haven't seen any depth charts from the USFL about any of the teams, because I'd like to know if the wide receivers I'm picking are, the number 1, number 2, number 3 wide receiver, for example. And I also don't know if the players are injured or they're going to be benched, because I'd love to know, since it's week 1 in fantasy football, and they haven't shown any depth charts yet that I know of. And, I don't want to be picking players that are being benched or they're injured and give me 0 points. So, I'll figure it out in week 2 because I'll see results from week 1 and see what their stats are. But for week 1, I have no clue if my players are going to be, that I selected in fantasy football, are going to be able to play or not. So that's my take on the USFL. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. There was no, just think about DFS. That is a basic thing you need to have is depth charts, because how can you do DFS? How can you bet on games? That's definitely something they need to have. Remember, the league doesn't even have the stats on there, but all this stuff I think will come as the league grows, and they're learning and they're improving. And you can be successful if you start to move up and you start to make improvements each day. And things get better and better and better. I know there was players complaining about uniform stuff or, not having enough, trainers. And there was all these complaints kind of going around. But, if the league just takes those complaints and fix them, it'll be cool. And we'll see what happens there. So Pitts sent this in Hi USFL News. So I thought might be interested in this. On April 11th at 8 p.m. on Twitter, I submitted the idea of blob. I went back and searched if anyone else did the same, and as far as I could find, no one else did. This is really exciting. I grew up in Philly area. My dad was born and raised in South Philly. He took me to Eagles and Flyers games going back to the 60s. I moved out of state years ago and created a fun, catchy song and video about the 2 things I miss most about living in Philly, cheesesteaks and tasty cakes. We'll have to check out the video. Recently, I was a guest on Lou Shiner's Museum of Sports show, co-hosted by Doug Schmel. We talked about Philly sports, the Spectrum, the didgeridoo, and of course, the fun Philly anthem. Cheesesteaks and tasty cakes. The segment starts at the 24-4 mark. I'm happy to talk with you about all this fun. Piz might have been the person who came up with the blob, which WTF should be his name. WTF. So we appreciate it. So Piz could be the originator of the blob. We have a historical record now on USFL Week in Review. Piz might have been the originator of blob, the name for the Philly Stars thing, whatever it is. All right, let's take one more phone call, shall we?
Hey, so this is just one little tweak I thought, because you know how in the XFL, from this past week, I thought the USFL product was great, by the way. The only thing I would like to see tweaked maybe is, like, I saw a lot in the first game I watched where they didn't even try a lot of 2-point conversions or 3-point conversions, and just kind of go with the safe kick most of the time. My thing, well, turned out, I mean, there was a kicking mostly problem throughout, it seemed like, this weekend, but the question I had is, like, I would like to see something changed or tweaked. Maybe you think it's a stupid idea, is, like, after you score, like, the first 2 touchdowns, if you choose just to kick it, after, like, your first 2, after, like, the first 2 scores, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, I apologize, is maybe then afterwards, after you have to do every other one, you have to go for 2 or 3, like, score 2 touchdowns and you like to kick both times, right? And then the third touchdown, you have to go for 2 or 3. Then after that, you can kick. Then the next one after that would be you have to go for 2 or 3. Just because I thought when I first saw the first game, it seemed like too many people were just kicking. I want to be able to still leave that in there, but I'd like to be able to see teams kind of be like have to go for at least a 2-point conversion at least once or twice a game, depending on how many touchdowns they score. Just an idea. It was like after the first 2 touchdowns, afterwards, then it's every other one you have to go for 2 or 3. That was just the only, maybe that's just me, because I love watching those conversion plays. But if you think that's a dumb idea, or the group chat thinks that's a dumb idea, I would just like to see that. But then I noticed in the later games, there was a lot more people going for 2 or 3, so maybe it was just me. But anyway, I'd like to know your thought on that. But other than that, I thought the games were absolutely great. Can't wait for next weekend. And next year, I can't wait, because I'm in Texas. I'd love to be able to drive to Houston and watch a game there live wherever they choose to have their facility. Anyway, hope everyone had a great Easter. God bless, and thanks for listening.
All right, my friend, appreciate the phone call. God bless you as well. Those are all interesting ideas. I was surprised that the kicking was so, I was like, man, can the kicking be this bad? And some of the kickers were even surprised. But yeah, I was surprised that teams were going to just go for the 2-point conversion or 3-point conversion more during the games. I remember when the XFL started, it took them a couple weeks before they started to kind of get groove. I just don't think they have the confidence in their offensive. There's not enough cohesion yet on the offensive side to really get people, to take that risk. I think that's why you're not seeing the conversions, but I would like to see them too. It definitely makes more exciting. And, remember, with rules, you want to keep it simple. And if you do that, just to ask the CFL, I still don't understand the rouge. I'm like, wait, how'd they get a point? He missed a field goal. So, but some interesting ideas there. We appreciate the phone call. And yes, of course, we wish everybody a nice, blessed, and happy Easter, everybody out there, and got a chance to maybe spend time with family. I did. And it was great time to be with family. Everybody was here hanging out, watching USFL. They knew that little dad was all geeked about this kind of stuff. And I, too, am super excited. I can't wait for Friday night. It's supposed to be a nice night out. I hope to have the TV set up outside, grab myself a cold beverage, not an adult beverage. I don't do that kind of, I'm not a big beer drinker or any of that kind of stuff. I do enjoy a cider, but I definitely enjoy a nice cold root beer with my dog, Finn. You guys met Finn, the dog, before. He's not here now, to hang out on the deck. Wife's out of town, watch some football, turn on the heater, be very cool, fun time. Finally, Steve says, last one, he says, lose the drones. They don't give one good view of the game, and they're distracting when a real camera gets them. Not a bad game, just ground the drones. What do you think of the drones there in the chat room as well as we wrap up the show? You droners, you're not droners. You droney or not a droney? Droner or not a droney? Let's see. Jared says, does FCF still draft players each week? I played it last year. I'm a Glacier Boys fan. Yes, the draft is only for the first 3 weeks. So they'll have a draft on this Wednesday, and then next Wednesday have a great interview with Greg Meskel, of the play-by-play man from Fan Control Football on yesterday's XFL Week in Review show, talking with him all about that. He really explains a lot of stuff, so you want to check that out if you're Fan Control or just any interest in Fan Control Football. And we also on XFL News Hub interviewed Ray Austin, the commissioner of Fan Control Football. Mike says, I will consider Tampa, LOL, possibly the Gamblers. Fine, be that way, Mike. Gregory says, nah, you're okay with the Stallions pick. Jared, I think the Bandits will win, but I want Breakers to win. No, you don't, Jared. XFL is coming for you, USFL. Ha, ha, ha. We'll see. There's some news about the XFL. You want to check that out on XFL News Hub. Greg says, that drone was like a bug buzzing around, but really cool. Yeah, I don't know. It has some cool angles, but seeing it flying around and stuff, you keep thinking it's like a bat. Blackjack21 says, if you're going to just tech football, just create a bunch of robots and watch them play. Enough with all the tech stuff. Let the athletes play the game. Life isn't perfect nor fair. I'm just saying, call it. I don't want to see robots. That's video game world. I want to see the players play, but I just want to get the calls right. And I think, as far as the officiating goes for USFL Week 1, there was no controversy whatsoever. I think everything was smooth. Not like too many calls or any of that kind of stuff. I think the officiating was great for Week 1 of the USFL season. Let me know what you think in the comments of that as well. Hey, smash that like button. We're at 8 likes. We want to get more. At least smash the like button right now. All right, friends. That's it for this week's show. We went a little long, but having a good old time. Lots to talk about. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, email podcast@USFL News Hub with your thoughts, recorded MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on the show. You could be a star. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. Remember, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Let's spread the word about USFL News Hub show on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and watch. We'll be back, normal time, live, every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, USFL Week in Review. We'll be back, my friends, at the normal time. But we had a game. Enjoy this week 2 games. Super excited about Nolans Breakers. See how my picks do. It's just a lot of fun. I love talking spring football, whether it's the spring league a year ago, like the CFL. That's their draft is coming up in a couple weeks, and then we'll have XFL stuff happening hopefully this summer, and it's just going to be an exciting time, friends. We are at the beginning. You are like the early adopters of spring football, and who knows where this whole thing is going to lead, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Find out. All right, my friends, thank you everybody on the chat room for taking your time. I know you got things going on in your life to spend some time with us talking about the USFL. God bless all you guys on the chat room. Really appreciate your hanging out with me. Also, God bless everybody out there listening to the program. Have fun, man. This is sports. It's supposed to be fun, and enjoy your week 2, my friends. All right, that's it for me, folks. God bless, and I will see you all later.